All right, everyone, welcome back. It is time for our anticipated November 2023 power rankings. So we'll get into it here because obviously these videos take a little bit to make, but some things to keep in mind. First off, this is only November, so the last 5 days of the NHL season virtually do not count. So if you're gonna say, "Oh well, Philly beat Pittsburgh twice," so why isn't that included? Because it happened in December. That's why. So just in case, just so we have that in mind, I believe that is everything. What we're gonna do is I have the record in November, and then I have their overall record at the end of November. So I believe all of these should be accurate, but regardless, they're pretty close to accuracy if they're not. So again, it's based off of November. Regardless, let's get into it here. So number 32, it's the same team as last month, and that was the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks obviously have not had that good of a year. The month got better for sure. 5-8-1 is not so bad. Not gonna lie. In November overall, they're 5-16-2 overall. When you look at the overall standings, that's not bad. Yeah, I'll give it to them. They're playing this trap style hockey where they're a team that you play against. Oh, this should be an easy team to beat, and a lot of teams are beating them by big margins. They're not a very good hockey team, but they are stealing games sometimes from teams. Like they stole a game from Edmonton, they stole a game from St. Louis, they took a game from Jersey, even though that doesn't count in this ranking because it happened on December 1st. I will say that here, they do steal games from teams. That is their style. But that's all they're going to be. They're not going to be a playoff team this year. I don't think anybody should expect them to be a playoff team this year. I think it's kind of a joke that anybody would think that. But yeah, overall, there's 32. Should not be a surprise to anyone. Also, figured that I pull up last month's numbers. I knew San Jose was 32nd, so I didn't have to do that. So that's why you saw the jump cut. But regardless, in number 31, dropping one spot from last month, is the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, I think it's no surprise, they did not have a good month whatsoever. The Bedard hope kind of fell back down to earth a little bit. They went 4-8-0 in November for a 7-14-0 record overall throughout the season so far at that point. So yeah, Chicago, they're in the place where they're expected to be. They weren't expected to be a playoff team this year, so I'm not really mad with that ranking if I'm a Blackhawks fan. We expected them to be at this point, so it's not that big of a deal. Bedard's playing well. Besides that, there isn't a whole lot there. I do like the way Mrazek's playing, though. I feel like he is stealing some games away for the Blackhawks. But yeah, every now and then you get the occasional win. But apart from that, it's been pretty much just, the same team overall and just not that consistent overall. At number 30, dropping 5 spots from last month, is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yeah, going on an 8-game losing streak definitely will drop you 5 spots. I'm going to say that. The Blue Jackets for the month of November, they went 4-9-2 for an overall record of 7-13-4. They got better at the end of the month for sure, but that whole beginning, probably up to the 20th of November, was horrible. It was horrible hockey to watch. They lose every game, and sometimes it wasn't their fault. A lot of the games, too, were very close. They were 1-goal differences, or they were overtime losses. There was a lot that factored into there with Columbus, but it was overall a very brutal month, and I don't think they're going to get out of it. I think that is the harsh reality, of that's where they're going to be in the standings overall, and that sucks to say, but it just is how it is. This is how they're going to be this year, and I don't think anyone expected them to be a playoff team, but you wanted to see improvement. We're not seeing a whole lot of improvement right now, unfortunately, in Columbus. Number 29, dropping, I believe, 7 spots from last month, is the Minnesota Wild. I sound like the hockey guy, I just realized. But the Wild are having, they had a very bad month as well. And it's overlooked, too, because of the Global Series. I did factor in that they didn't play as many games as other teams, which definitely plays a factor. But they went 4-6-2 in November. And as well as that, too, they were 7-10-4 overall. Yeah. Just not playing well. They don't look good. The goaltending was bad. They fired Evason, brought in John Hines. Things have gotten a little bit better under him. They have won, I believe, 3 straight since he's came along. But you want to see success in the long term rather than the short term. It seems like with every coach, the team seems to win 2 or 3 games in a row What happens after that, though, is when things get determined of whether or not, the coaching actually needed to happen or it was the players that were the problem. But yeah, Minnesota, not that good of a month. They're going to need a bigger turnaround. That's definitely something I'm looking at for sure out of them this month. They're going to need that if they want to keep climbing in the standings. Playoffs isn't too out of the question, but definitely you want to see you want to see a really good December, or else playoffs are not going to be that big of a possibility, especially that late in the season, even though it's like only the halfway point. Number 28, dropping one spot from last month, is the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken again had not that good of a month. Seattle went 5-5-4, which isn't bad, but like a lot of those games were brutal. Towards the end of that month was horrible. And they're 5-16-2 overall. Or sorry, not 8-10-6 overall. I think with Seattle, a lot of their true colors have been shown this season. Dave Haxtell, I feel like, may be a little bit to blame, but there isn't a lot of scoring. The goaltending's been doing its best, but there just hasn't been a lot of chemistry doing very well with Seattle right now, and I think that plays a factor in why they're this low in the standings. So yeah, you want to see improvement out of Seattle for sure, but I need to see something else because it has not been that good of a start to the year for them. And even though they're still right there in the race for a playoff spot, they aren't far out of the question. Neither is Minnesota, for that matter. But you definitely want to start gaining some more ground because once you get behind in a division like that, or even at all, it's hard to come back sometimes. So definitely, you want to see some more improvement there from Seattle. Number 27, dropping 4 spots from last month, is the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres, probably the worst team in the Atlantic. They went 7-5-2 I'm looking at the Bruins. They went 6-6-2 in November. Sorry, they're all so close together. So the Sabres, 6-6-2 in November, for 10-11-2 overall. The reason why I put them that low for a 500 record is because they have been playing some very bad hockey. Like they are struggling a lot, and a lot of those wins too came at the beginning of the month. It has been a struggle for them. They can't seem to find consistency. That's the biggest issue with Buffalo. They can't seem to find a whole lot of consistency. We just haven't seen it. I know Thompson's out, and I know they've been facing some injuries. He does come back tonight, but during the month of November, he was hurt. Definitely, you want to see some more consistency, and the goaltending hasn't been great either. But yeah, again, Buffalo, you need to see more consistency, and I think that if things keep getting worse, like how they are, I think maybe Don Granato may find his way out. Very possible. And I hate to say it too, because I actually like Granato. I think he's a solid coach, but it just isn't in the cards currently for him to play well with this Sabres team. Number 26, dropping a whopping 9 spots from last month, and it seems like they've fallen down to earth, as the Anaheim Ducks. They had a very good first half of the month, and then they lost 8 straight. So it's very difficult for me to put them any higher than 26. I feel like they're playing okay, just they can't seem to stay consistent. 4-10 in November, for a 9-14-0 record overall. So they only won 4 times in this month. It was a brutal month for them. So yeah, I'm gonna need to see, the offense just isn't great right now. Zegras needs to get better. The team seems like they're still a ways away from being an impact team still, and that sucks to say because they've been like this for so long. But it feels like this year is going to be another really bad year for them. And then maybe after that, you might have to start looking at, well, what other options can we do, honestly? But yeah, it's November. This is the month where, it's really telling what a lot of teams are. Usually, this year, though, it's not really that. There are a lot of teams, I'd say from the 25th spot all the way up to 1. Those are the teams that I think are still in it. Still have a real possibility of making the playoffs. They're all 25 of those teams have a real possibility. So I don't think I've said that this late in the season, even though we're not even halfway. It's crazy to think. Number 25, dropping 5 spots from last month, is the Ottawa Senators. The Senators, they did not play a lot in this month. I will say that. So that's why they're ranked a little bit low. They went 4-5 in November for 8-9-0 overall. So the one game below 500. They are last in the Atlantic. Yeah, they haven't played a lot, so that plays a factor. A lot of the teams I mentioned, they've played at least 14, 15 games. The Sens have only played 10. So yeah, it's definitely a factor. Or they've only played 9, sorry. But yeah, I just don't know how DJ Smith still has a job. Like, I honestly don't know how Smith still has a job in Ottawa. Like, I look at the way the team's built. On paper, they're a pretty solid roster. Like, it's a pretty good roster there in Ottawa. But they just can't seem to gain momentum. They can, and I feel like the problem lies on Smith. And eventually you get to the point where you realize, yeah, maybe we need to look at the coach. And the Sens have just not done that. And I don't think they're going to do that till the end of this year. I think DJ Smith's going to stay another year. Mainly because of the GM search. I don't think they're going to fire a coach, so they have to go look for a coach and a general manager. I don't think they would want to do that. So I definitely think that, unless if they go out and hire like an assistant coach or something like that, which is very possible. But, I don't think that they are going to fire Smith. And that sucks to say, but it's just how it is, unfortunately. Number 24, I believe this is the first team that's actually risen in the rankings. Rising 4 spots from last month is the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers are still in the hole. They're still in the hole, absolutely. But the second half of the month was great for them. The first half of the month was not good. The first half of the month was really good. And I think that if they can keep the momentum going into December, they did have a big 5-day break between their next game and now. I definitely think that, they really can pull out of this. They absolutely can. They have the power to. So the Oilers, they went 7-7 in November. And if we looked at after the Sharks loss and thought that they would go 500 in the month of November, I think we'd laugh. So, yeah, they definitely have had a really solid turnaround since that game. They're only 3 games below 500, 9-12-1 overall. So, I really think they will pull themselves out of this. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I feel like they will. I think they're going to be competitive enough where they're going to be able to for sure. So, yeah, Edmonton, I really like there a lot. I think they're rising up in the standings and doing a pretty good job of themselves. Number 23, falling 11 spots from last month. I think this is really telling of how this team's going to be. It's the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens, they went 5-9 in November for 10-11-2 overall. I feel like, and you can see with Montreal, they're getting better. They are getting better. You see that a lot. They are showing signs of improvement, and I will make a video on Montreal very soon. That is something I plan on doing. But they seem better. The scoring is there. The defense is playing well. Even though a lot of these games that I've seen a lot of complaints with, they're going to extra time a lot, I don't think that's a problem. I like the way they're playing. Sean Monahan's really turned back the clock. That's why they're ranked so high. They probably will be lower in December. They probably will fall more back down to earth in December. But I really do like the way this roster is built right now, and I think that it's not going to be this year. Maybe not next year, but the year after, they're definitely going to be back in the playoffs. They are approaching that point. And it seems like a lot of the guys, too, they really have a lot of faith in these players. Like Sam Montembeault locked up to a 3-year deal. It shows that they have a lot of faith in these guys and this roster they're building. So, yeah, I like them a lot. Number 22, rising 4 spots from last month, is the Nashville Predators. The Predators went completely 500. They went, where are they at? They went 7-6 in November. They're 11-11 currently when you look at November standings. So they are the most 500 team ever. I probably should have put them exactly 16th or 17th, but they are the most 500 team ever. They went on a 4-game winning streak, then they went on a 4-game losing streak. They win 1 game, they lose 1 game. They win 1 game, they lose 1 game. St. Louis also is a big example of that too, though. They're a little bit higher, but yeah, the Predators, they're just in the middle. I feel like that's how they're going to be. They're just in the middle. I think we expected that too. So I'm not too mad with the results right now. But obviously, we'll see what happens at the end of next month, of course. So, yeah. Predators are 22nd. Number 21. Let me find them on the October rankings here. Dropping, I think they're dropping. Yeah, dropping 8 spots from last month is the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning are concerning me. They are. Now, not Nikita Kucherov. Kucherov's doing great. But the Lightning as a whole are really concerning me. 6-7-2 in November for a 10-9-2 overall record. There was that excuse. Even though the team was playing bad for a while, you could absolutely make the excuse that, Vasilevsky's not playing. Vasilevsky's not in net. So that's the reason why we've been losing. Yeah, you could have absolutely made that excuse. But now, at this stage, You can't. You can't. You simply he's back, and you let in 8 goals still. You can't. There's definitely underlying issues here in Tampa that need to be addressed. Maybe the team isn't as healthy as we think. Maybe those few months off weren't going to benefit them. Maybe it didn't. But yeah, I need to see a better December. But like right now, I am genuinely like really concerned with the Lightning right now. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Number 20, rising 1 spot from last month, and I'm still a little bit doubtful with them. It's the Philadelphia Flyers. My Philadelphia Flyers. They had an okay month, 7-6-1, so 1 game above 500. They are currently 11-10-2 overall. Here's the weird thing. If we're basing it off with December's too, both my teams are in playoff spots. The Flyers and the Coyotes. The Coyotes would be a little bit later because they had a really good month, in my opinion. They're getting a lot better. But the Flyers, like, they're both in playoff spots, and it's so weird to think with me. But yeah, Philadelphia, I like the way they're playing. And I'm going to say this. The reason why they're a lot higher than maybe some of the other teams should be is because of the effort. With the roster they have, it's not that good. It's really not that great of a roster. It's not a roster you look at and say, oh, yeah, that's a cup contending roster. It's not. I'm admitting that as a Flyers fan. It's not. But we go in, we outplay teams, we outshoot teams, and occasionally we'll get a win. And when we play bad teams, ignore the San Jose, we will get a win. We usually win. Like we played the Rangers, which is the best team in the league, standings-wise. Maybe power rankings-wise. We'll find out. But we took on the Rangers, and they outshot them. Like, the Flyers outshot one of the best teams in the league by, like, 20 shots. Now, yeah, we lost, but Samuel Ersson wasn't that, so I'm kidding. But, like, you know, like, I see the effort. I see the hard work that Tortorella's putting into these players. It makes me optimistic and happy about the future. So I'm going to leave it at that. Philadelphia, number 20. I like their overall ranking there. I think that's a good spot for them. Number 19 is a team that I'm also concerned with, and that is the New Jersey Devils. The Devils, I believe, have fallen a staggering 8 spots from last month. This was a month that was concerning. The Devils went 6-7 in November for 11-9-1 overall. And it really shows the immense value that Hughes and Hischier have to this roster. It does. It shows the value that those players had. Because in that October, they started off very well. Like, Hughes and Hischier were playing great. And then Hughes and Hischier get hurt, and all of a sudden they can't score. They're struggling to find offense. They're struggling with goaltending and defense. The coaching seems to be a problem too. I went to a Devils game of about 2 weeks ago at this point, the day after American Thanksgiving, and like, that team, they don't control the puck well. They turn it over a lot, and I think that understandably there's some blame to go on the coach. There obviously is, and maybe Lindy Ruff may get the fire eventually. But you know, just right now, I'm very concerned. I need to see a better November. Now I know Hughes is back. I don't think Hischier's back yet, but I know Hughes is. So hopefully that will take the turn of the better heading into this month for the Devils. Number 18, rising up 6 spots from last month, is the St. Louis Blues. And let me just say, they are the most mediocre team in sports. Like, they had a very mediocre month. Actually, not really overall, but like their most recent games have been very mediocre. They're 9-6 in November, so they actually had a pretty good month. They did pretty well for themselves. And for a team, too, that's very underrated, they went 12-9-1. They're 12-9-1 overall at the end of November, so they're in a decent spot right now. But throughout the last, 2 weeks of that month, it was like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. It was insane. Like, that was the way St. Louis played. And from one night to the next, you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of funny. Like, it's kind of like opening a mystery box. Like, you never know what you're going to get. Or you're going to get the same jersey over and over again. Yeah, anyways. But yeah, the Blues playing some solid hockey. Binnington looks calm and content. Looks very solid out there. It feels like the incidents from last season, he matured from them, or Craig Berube just went to him and was like, you need to calm down. Either way, Binnington looks a lot more mature this year, which is great to see. I like seeing that. I liked Binnington for a while. I think he's definitely deserving of it. So yeah, I like I like the way the Blues are playing. The offense is great. Kevin Hayes is playing a solid game. Overall, the team looks pretty solid. Not going to lie. We'll see where they are next month. Number 17, dropping 2 spots from last month, but they're pretty much in the same area. It's the New York Islanders. The Islanders, yeah, mid. The epitome of mediocrity is what I'm going to say about the Islanders. They went 5-5-4 in November for 9-7-6 overall. I will say this, a 9-7-6 record for what was a awful 7-game losing streak is actually pretty good. That's not that bad of stats for them. However, 6 of those games were overtime losses. So definitely they take a lot of games to extra time, and they're banking off those extra time points right now. There are a few teams that are doing that, actually. There are a few teams in the league that are banking off of extra time points. They are. So definitely that plays a factor with the Islanders there too. They're probably going to stay around this place for the rest of the season. I don't expect them to be any higher or any lower. They're probably going to be around this same spot because that's just the way they play, the team they are. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, unless if you think there is as an Islanders fan. But yeah, they're probably going to be around this 17-15 mark for the rest of the time. Now up to the top 16. We're out of the bottom 16 now. So if you didn't hear your team in the bottom 16, congratulations, you're in the top 16. So 16 had probably one of the biggest rises out of all the teams. Rising, I believe, 15 spots. From last month is the Calgary Flames. The Flames had a really good month, and I think it feels like after the rough start in October, it feels like the Flames have kind of pulled it together a little bit. It's kind of showing here with Calgary. They went last month. They went 8-4-2 for a 10-10-3 record overall. That's not bad. They may be one of the higher teams that is ranked 500. My computer just blanked out. But yeah, they may be one of the higher teams that is ranked at 500. But I feel like this year was a really good comeback, this month was a really good comeback for them. And if they can keep this momentum going in December, they could be a playoff team. They really could be. And in a Pacific Division too that's really struggling. Seattle isn't great. Anaheim's not great. Edmonton's pulling it together, but they still aren't great. The Sharks are the Sharks. There's only 3 teams right now that you can look at and say, yeah, they're competitive in that division, like Vancouver, Vegas, and LA. So Calgary absolutely has a chance there to go in and steal a wild card spot, even though there's a lot of teams in the Central that are competing right now. So yeah, there's a lot of teams that are still in it, and Calgary is for sure one of them. So yeah, I like the way the Flames are playing a lot. I like the way Connor Zary coming up into the lineup. Man, never expected to be this good. Out of the gate. But yeah, I like the Flames a lot, and I hope it continues. Number 15, rising up 4 spots from last month is the Arizona Coyotes. I gotta say, I love the Coyotes. I love the way they're playing. And for those who don't know, I'm a Flyers fan at heart, but as well as that too, I am a Coyotes fan. I love the way this team is playing. I love it so much. They are currently 7-5-2 in the month of November for an 11-9-2 record overall. Even though it's got some December games ranked in there, I did make a video on Arizona yesterday. I really like the way this team is playing and the improvement I've seen over the years. It's so satisfying to watch this club play, and I definitely hope that they're in a playoff spot right now. They're in a first wild card spot. Even I think in November, not even including the December games, they were in a playoff spot. So definitely they're a team that I'm going to be looking forward to watch as the months progress on and see where they're going to be next month. But one thing that I do want to see more out of them is consistency. Because before this 4-game winning streak or this 3-game winning streak or whatever it was when November ended, there was a whole lot of inconsistency. We win a game, lose a game, win 2 games, lose 3, win 3, lose 2. Win 1, lose 1. There's a lot of inconsistency there in Arizona. I think they're kind of starting to find that a little bit. But definitely that is something I want to seek out there if I'm the Coyotes for sure. Next up then, number 14. One of the biggest rises there too. I believe rising 15 spots from last month is the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins, I thought, had a much better month than October was for sure. Definitely a 5-game winning streak really helped that out. They went 8-4-1 for an 11-10-1 record overall. The first half of October, or the first part of the season in October, was a very bad month for them. A very horrible start to the season. There were even questions of, oh, should they fire Mike Sullivan? I don't think they do now. They had a very good November. They're playing some good hockey. Definitely Carlson's helped out offensively. He's kind of been exactly what we expected him to be. He's not going to be like a 100-point scorer again for the Penguins at all. But definitely he's going to be that type of player that, can score occasionally. And the offense is doing well. The depth is doing solid. Jari scored a goal, even though I think that was in actually, no, it was in November. It was the 30th. So yeah, like they're playing some good hockey right now, and I'm really enjoying watching it. So yeah, Pittsburgh, number 14. Number 13, the Washington Capitals. Now, I know they got kicked in by Arizona, but hey, that was in November. That was in December. But yeah, the Capitals also had a pretty good month. They went 8-3-1 for a 12-6-2 record overall. It seems like that's kind of slipping away a little bit, but I still like the way they're playing. I like the way the Capitals are. They're winning, even though Ovechkin's not scoring a lot. He's getting points, but he's not scoring, which I guess is bad if you're rooting for the goal record, but it's not that bad for the team because they are winning. So it's great to see. It's solid to see both those teams competing. That's like my childhood right there, my childhood two teams. So definitely I like seeing them being in the race so far, even though there's a little bit of asterisk to that, and we'll see how they do. The Capitals last month were, I believe, 14th. So they rose up one spot from last month. So yeah, overall, Capitals having themselves a pretty solid month. We'll see what December has to bring. Number 12, dropping 3 spots from last month is Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs are 12th for me. I had them 7-3-2 in November. Overall, they are 12-6-3. So there are some concerns that I have. Yes, 3 of those are only 3 of those games are overtime losses, but 11 of their 22 games have gone to extra time. That is a concern with me. I understand that, you want to base it off of that, but I'm not overly concerned about it. I am a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned about it, how they can't really hold leads very well. That's been something they've been struggling with. They can come back just fine. I feel like it's weird. It's like seeing a new breed of Toronto where they can come back in games. What? Toronto doing that? Really? But they can't seem to hold leads. They can come back and force overtime and probably win it. But I want to see some more consistency out of the offense. Nylander looks great, but there's still some inconsistency out of Domi and Bertuzzi that I want to see. I don't think Domi has a goal yet, and we're in December. So definitely that plays a factor there too. For a guy who wanted to see have secondary scoring in his hometown team too. So that definitely plays a factor with me there as well with Toronto. But yeah, the Leafs, they're playing well enough. We'll see how December does for them. Number 11, this team had a pretty big rise, I think. Or maybe they didn't. I don't know. I can't see them here. Actually, yeah, they did. Rising up 7 spots from last month is the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets went, I believe, 8-5 in November for a 12-8-2 record overall. They had themselves a very good month. Definitely a month that was overlooked. They're still a good team. Even with the guys they lost and some of the doubts that people had, they played a really good month and had themselves a pretty solid time overall. And definitely they're still a team that's in it for sure. They're going to be competing. I believe they're 3rd in the division, even though that's not a huge cushion they have. But then again, what team really has a cushion right now besides maybe the New York Rangers? That's pretty much it. That really has a big cushion on other teams in the NHL currently. I'm probably wrong, but regardless, I digress. But yeah, Winnipeg 11th. I like them at that overall spot. Number 10, dropping 4 spots from last month, heading into the top 10. Now, I don't want to discredit them at all. They still had a pretty good month. It's the Red Wings. Things got a little bit worse from that good start in October. For example, DeBrincat and Larkin kind of cooled down a little bit, and it seems like they're now breaking that up for Kane anyways. But I still like the overall the direction of the Wings. They are a playoff team. They look like a playoff team right now for sure. They are 6-4-2 in November for a 12-7-3 record overall. I like that overall for them. I like it a lot. And I had my doubts. I had my doubts with the goaltending. I had my doubts with the defense. But Alex Lyon has risen up above everyone and has become a very solid player. So I definitely like the way that the overall team's playing. I like them a lot right now. And I think that definitely things are going to get better. Number 9, rising 2 spots from last month is the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I have my doubts about them too. I do. I really do have my doubts about Carolina. The goaltending is a concern for me, absolutely. That is something that I am concerned with. They actually went 7-4-1 in November for 13-8-1 record overall. It does seem like they're starting to pull together, but can this mediocre goaltending get better? Maybe, but can it also affect them? Yes. It is something to look at come playoff time. If they might want to make a move at net at the trade deadline, that could happen. Because Ranta hasn't been himself, Anderson's been out, Kuchekov hasn't been himself either. So there is some worries there in Carolina when it comes to goaltending. But apart from that, they're playing a really solid game. Marty Necas's playing very well. Aho playing very well. The team's doing what they need to do for sure. So I like the way that the Hurricanes are playing. Number 8, I believe they dropped. Actually, no, they're in the same spot. They're in the exact same spot from last month. It's Vancouver. The Vancouver Canucks. I have my doubts, and this month was worse than October for sure. But definitely they're still a playoff team. I feel like they should be still a playoff team with the way they're playing. They went 9-6 in November for a 15-8-1 record overall, so they still have a pretty solid cushion. Definitely there were some issues that I did see in that month. There were a few games where I was like a lack of holding leads. They did look like the old Vancouver at points. But they're still a solid hockey team. I think it's good enough to keep them around the same rank where they were. So yeah, I like Vancouver a lot there. I think they're going to do very solid, and definitely they're deserving of being in the top 10, and I hope they make the playoffs. I would love to see Vancouver back in the playoffs. 2020 alone was a very magical run to watch. Even though they lost in Game 7 of the second round, like that'd be a great run to watch again. Great seeing them back in the playoffs. It'd be awesome. Number 7, falling 5 spots from last month is the Boston Bruins. People may disagree with this one a lot, and I understand if you do. It is a little bit of a controversy. The Bruins had a pretty good month. Went 7-5-2 in November for a 15-4-3 overall record. I saw some issues that did make me a little bit concerned. And yes, teams do go through rough patches, so that plays a role in why they are a little bit lower than other teams. But yeah, they turned it around after a few straight losses in a row. They seem to be back on the right course. They're beating good teams. They're keeping themselves in games. Brad Marchand's literally insane. But yeah, like they're playing some good hockey right now. They're playing a great style. And they're 7th right now, but I think they will be back in the top 5 eventually. Number 6, the Florida Panthers. They're often overlooked. And again, I was one that overlooked them too. I made a video about 2 weeks ago or so on the Panthers. They're often overlooked, and I'm the one that is a victim of that. I've definitely doubted them a lot during my time of being a hockey fan. But yeah, the Panthers, they went 10-4-1 in November for a 14-7-2 record. There aren't many teams that went 10-4-1. So yeah, Florida had themselves a very good month overall. I like the way they're playing. They're playing a very solid game. Kachuk looks great. They did that too without a lot of their top players. They really did. Sam Reinhart in his contract year also playing really well. Bobrovsky playing well enough. So yeah, like overall the team looks great. They have a very solid month of December coming up that they are going to need a big test for. But yeah, I like the Panthers a lot, and they had a pretty good month. Number 5, moving into the top 5 now, you have the Vegas Golden Knights. The Knights falling from number 1 to number 5. By the way, the Panthers were 16th last year, so rising up 10 spots from last month. Vegas went 6-5-3 in November for a 15-5-4 overall record in the NHL after November. So yeah, Vegas, again, playing the way they need to. Again, they had a part where they were kind of at a rough stretch. 6-5-3 is kind of meh for a team like them, but they're still a good hockey team. They're still really good. As I said with Boston, a lot of teams go through bad stretches, and that's what happened there for Vegas. Moving on then to number 4. I had to take a jump cut. I tried to do it in one take, but my throat killed itself. You have the Dallas Stars. The Stars, I believe they went up 1 spot from last month, so definitely a good ranking for them overall. They had a pretty good month. They beat one of the better teams that's in this power rankings, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But they went 8-4-2 in November for a 13-5-3 record overall. There were some spots where I was a little bit concerned with them. The loss to Calgary was a little bit of a concern for me, but honestly, if they can just stay consistent the way they have been playing, it's not going to be that big of an issue. The team looks great. Overall, they're playing at a very good level. Ottinger's playing very well. They're playing the way they need to, and there's really nothing much else to say. They're playing the way they have to. Number 3, rising up 1 spot. So basically, they pretty much just like swapped. You got the Colorado Avalanche at 3. The Avs, they went 9-4-1 in November for a 15-6-1 record overall. They're playing the way they need to. Also, having a very good season so far. McKinnon's playing well. Rantanen's playing well. The goaltending's been solid. Georgiev's done well. So, yeah, Colorado, again, they have the roster they need to. There's nothing much else to it. They're playing the way they need to. That's pretty much all I have to say. Number 2, and the best team in the West is the Calgary Flames. Is the Los Angeles Kings, not the Calgary Flames. Definitely not. LA this month went, I believe, 8-2-1 for a 13-4-3 record. Yeah, they're playing well. They really are. And I made a video on them earlier. I got 5.5 thousand views, my highest viewed video ever in the channel's history. Thank you guys for that, by the way. But yeah, like they're playing the way they need to. They're playing a really good season. The offense looks great. Kopitar still looks like Kopitar. The defense looks good too. Underrated guys like Mikey Anderson and such. And Cam Talbot's done a big job this year at doing very well. I don't know if it's like the trusted goalie come playoff time, as I mentioned in my video, but obviously, the Kings are number 2. And number 1, the best team in the East in the power rankings overall for the month of November is the New York Rangers, rising up 2 spots from last month. And by the way, the Kings were second. They rose up 8 spots from last month. So they had a pretty good rise. But the Rangers, they went 9-2-1 in November for a 16-4-1 record overall. It was a great month. It really was a great month for them. They seem unstoppable. The defense looks great. They did this all without Adam Fox too. Like a lot of that month was with no Adam Fox. So definitely, like, they look like a really good hockey team right now. Jonathan Quick and Igor Shesterkin, the best tandem in the league right now. The offense is buzzing. Lafreniere appears to have finally found some stride. Just overall, the team looks awesome right now. They do. And they look really enjoyable to watch. I've watched a few of their games. They are a damn good hockey team, and they're going to be challenging a lot of these other teams in the month of December. So, yeah. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. Is it team too high? Is it team too low? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I try my best to keep the rankings too. This month kind of showed where like a lot of teams went to show their true colors a little bit. I feel like there's still a little bit more to that to see in December. So definitely we're going to see that a lot. But yeah, I will see you guys in 2024 actually for the December power rankings. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Drink your water, and adios.